Welcome to Housing for Good, a podcast dedicated to housing topics and issues affecting our communities in McPherson County and beyond. With years of experience and expertise, hosts Chris Goodson and Karolyn Moore discuss housing challenges and opportunities with other experts from a variety of housing fields.
Hello there, and welcome to Housing for Good. I'm Karolyn.
And I'm Chris.
And we want to tell you about our housing conference coming up, McPherson County Housing Conference, September 26th at the Community Building. Please go to our website, McPhersonHousingCoalition.org, and register to come and check out the people that are going to be there.
Yeah, and it's only $25 this year. So
yeah,
we've been able
covers
to lower the
lunch
cost.
and snacks, and so, yeah.
Great day.
All right,
Now,
Chris, who are we talking to today?
So today we're talking to Sherrie. She's the McPherson Housing Coalition case manager. We're really excited. Welcome, Sherrie, for being on our podcast today. So what do we want to talk to Sherrie about, Karolyn?
Well,
how utterly epic I am?
Yes,
yeah, absolutely.
Of course, that's exactly what we want to talk about.
So what do we want to talk to her about?
So could you please, for our audience, briefly describe your role at McPherson Housing Coalition as our case manager for the Oak Harbor Cottages?
Well, sometimes when people need help, they reach out to us, and I have conversation with those folks to determine which program that we offer may fit best, or offer them referrals to other programs that may be able to offer them some support. I also work with the residents at Oak Harbor Cottages. Cool. We meet weekly. Our first goal is to let families know that they're safe and make sure that they have their most basic needs met. And then we develop a plan together to talk about what are the barriers, what are the needs, and set some goals so that we can keep moving forward. We really want them to walk out of their 90-day stay with some stability. And that means that they're going to need some supports and connections. And my job is to make sure they get those.
That sounds like a very important job, doesn't it?
It does,
It does. So why do you have a heart? Why do you have a heart for people that struggle, Sherrie? What makes you really want to help these people?
My mother was a struggling single parent of two, and as a teen, I was in foster care, and I was emancipated into homelessness at 17 years old. I had a box of my belongings that it was February 15th, and it was snowing, and I didn't know where I was going to go.
Oh, so, Sherrie, wow.
Yeah, that's really heartbreaking.
As an adult, I found myself a struggling single parent of two without programs like MHC's homelessness prevention, which helped my family be in a safe place. Housing choice vouchers, which helped us stay in a safe place while I worked really hard to get education and build a good work history, and a litany of other supportive programs and people. I wouldn't be where I am today. I own my own home. My children are adults, and they're happy and they're healthy.
So you understand probably more than anybody out here, because Chris and I have kind of given our history on growing up in poverty and kind of what we faced, but I've never been homeless. And Chris shared that she has actually slept at Grandma and Grandpa's, because that's what you did. But to actually be homeless, you are the closest person we have to that lived experience.
Yeah.
For the people coming to us asking for help.
I've been a variety of homeless over the years.
Yeah.
I've done couch surfing, car living, and straight up outdoors.
And this really gives people hope to hear somebody who is working with us now and then has that lived experience, and wow, what a change and a transformation that you've made.
Yeah,
So,
one of our other podcasts, we talked to Bree, and she has been very successful coming from the cottages through our program and kind of where she is now. And then I just love Sherrie's story. I know it's filled with a lot of pain and a lot of just stuff that you deal with. You got all this baggage that, you're trying to move forward, but you are what we would consider a success rate, like highly successful story. So Sherrie, could you share with us a little bit about just the impact on your family going from unstable to stable? Because you mentioned you own your own home now.
Yeah. One moment that I recall is we had been living in really substandard. It wasn't fit for human living. And when we moved out of that particular trailer, it was torn down. It wasn't fit for us to live in. And it wasn't exactly in a safe place. And MHC had helped us get a place. And because of that, I remember unpacking, and one of my kids wanted to go outside and play. And my first response was, no, you can't go outside. It's not safe. And then I realized I had a screen door I could see through. She had a safe yard. And I took pictures, and she took a sheet outside, and she just rolled around and said, we have grass. And I knew it was okay to let her go outside. Over time, them knowing that we were secure, explaining to my kiddo when we were getting a house, she said, so when will we have to move? We don't have to move again. And her getting to hang things on the walls, my son getting to pick a paint color. It seems like really small things, but it was finally theirs.
Yeah.
And not something that we had to worry all the time.
Well, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I love those kinds of stories.
So I want to lead into the next question, and you've kind of answered some of that. Why is this work important? I feel like you've already kind of shared part of that, but there might be more detail that you could go into. Why is this work important in our community, to you, to your family, to other families, to those who are struggling in our community and feel like nobody cares, they have no place to go? What would you say with that?
For one thing, when you're in crisis, your brain literally cannot think past a certain time span. So our ability to plan, we physically cannot access that to the fullness of our capabilities. So I get to come from a place that's not in crisis and walk with people so that they can get a plan. You know, when you're sleeping in your car, your thought process is like, where am I going to shower? How am I going to get out of this? Where's my next place? And the more safe and the more stable a person is, the better off they are and the more able they are to do the things that they need to build a better future.
You know, they call that trauma brain. And I think that people don't always associate that being homeless puts you in that trauma state. You know, you think about the death of somebody. You think about, you know, your house burns or you're in a bad car wreck and it puts you in trauma brain. You're different because you normally are stable, but it does throw you into that where you cannot think and cannot form a plan. And I think it's interesting to hear you talk about that because I think a lot of times people don't associate these folks cannot make a plan where they are.
Well, and you couple that with, do they have knowledge of all the resources around? Do they have connections? There are things that we do that you can't just access if you don't have the money or the connection. You know, yes, we have great services out there that are affordable, but even affordable services cost.
Yeah.
So having those connections and being able to get past the really huge barriers makes a difference for somebody to be able to get the stability that they need. If we can't figure out how to get to work, we can't keep telling people to go to work.
Yeah.
Yeah, and daycare.
Yeah.
Daycare is an issue.
Food.
Yeah, basic stuff that we all take for granted.
Very much so.
Mm-hmm.
Very much so.
Very basic stuff. What else would you like to add about what you're doing and the work and your own history or whatever you feel comfortable? We'd like to just have you kind of end it with letting us know your final thoughts on what you're doing and how important it is in this community and throughout the county, and maybe we become an example. I feel like what's happening at McPherson McPherson Housing Coalition is really something, if we could do it nationwide, we could change the world.
The reality is, if we can care for people when they are struggling, if we can give people the chance that they need to be able to gain stability, we're going to have a healthier community. We're going to have healthier kids. We're doing what I feel we're called to do. And I think McPherson community as a whole does a really good job of that. It's our neighbors, our children's classmates. It's not the stranger that we don't know. It's the person that we don't recognize is having a hard time. And I was that person for a really long time. And somebody saw me and somebody helped me. And I am so blessed that I get an opportunity to do that even a little bit. And I think this community has a lot to be proud of. And there are ways that we can come together even nationally. And it changes lives, not just for the adults, but for the children, for the friends who see their friend overcome hard stuff, to know that there's a way to do that. And we're all better if we do it together.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for your time with us today, Sherrie. I really appreciate it. Appreciate your testimony and just letting us in on kind of why you're doing the work you are. We would ask anybody listening to our podcast to please leave a review for us, leave us suggestions, help us improve.
Ideas for a future podcast. What would you like to see? What would you like us to change? Let us know how we're doing. And please tell your friends about what we're doing, Housing for Good. Make sure you tell your friends to like on our podcast. And we just want to say thank you for joining us on Housing for Good.
Thank you.